The Black Talk Media Project, a US-based nonprofit, has operated the premier online Black Talk radio network for 9 years. The organization has helped independent Black media producers establish their own digital radio stations and platforms. However, it is time to expand our work based on the vision of founder Scotty Reed, a U.S. Army veteran and communications specialist who wants to build the Black version of National Public Radio, with community talk radio stations and media centers across the USA. These stations and media centers will focus on developing local talk radio hosts, addressing local community issues, and providing classrooms to teach new media production. We can accomplish this goal without corporate and government grants, maintaining true independence. Donate to the Black Talk Media Project or obtain a subscription to the social media platform btrcommunity.com for just $24 annually. Help us establish new Black media for the new millennium.
Good morning, Scotty Reed here with the Black Talk Radio Network and Black Talk Media Project. As you can see from the title of the video, I want to talk about U.S. federal law in prison slavery. I also help co-host, in addition to BTR News, which I do live every Tuesday night at 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time. I also help co-host New Abolitionist Radio, which is an award-winning broadcast that comes on Black Talk Radio Network Wednesday night at 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time. So we covered this story last night, and I just wanted to do a follow-up video for some clarification. We had an inmate, and I'm going to read this story to you. It just came out on articles.penlive.com, so I'm assuming this is in Pennsylvania. Forgive me, I don't remember all the details from last night as we share so much information about modern slavery and human trafficking through the prisons, detention centers, and what have you. But the name of this article, which came out 3 days ago, is Making Prison Inmate Do Manual Labor Doesn't Violate His Civil Rights, U.S. Court Says. Now, we have this inmate who was convicted. He's in prison. He's not in jail. And there's a very important distinction there that we should be aware of when it comes to the law. So you got this guy who was caught up in the drug war, put in prison for a nonviolent drug crime, and he filed a lawsuit saying that his civil rights were being violated because he was ordered to mop the floors in a federal prison. And a U.S. appeals court dismissed his lawsuit as being frivolous. Now, one of his arguments was, and I talked about this last night, but I want to go into more detail. I talked about last night that he said that federal law outlaws slavery. The Constitution outlaws slavery in his lawsuit. As we have been telling people for the past 6 years, as Ava DuVernay tried to show you in her Netflix documentary, The 13, that slavery was never abolished. So they don't have to pay you, or they can pay you slave wages to make you work, or they punish you because you're a slave. Legally, you are a slave once you've been convicted of a crime. So he was incorrect. As I stated last night, the 13th Amendment in the Constitution, that's supreme law of the land. And it says slavery and involuntary servitude shall be abolished except as punishment for crime. So he was wrong about the Constitution off gate. I wish he had really consulted with some people. I wish he'd have actually read the Constitution. He could have read the Constitution, the 13th Amendment, and like many people have been programmed to do, the exception clause that says except as punishment for crime didn't even register in his mind. So he was wrong off gate. Then he cited the 8th Amendment saying it was cruel and unusual punishment to make him work for slave wages or not be paid at all. Okay. Now, so the court ruled and said that unless he was disabled, unless he was hurt and was being forced to do work, then that doesn't constitute cruel and unusual punishment. Now, I hate to be siding with the court on anything, but see, we cannot be in our emotions. We have to be objective. We have to be analytical, and we have to have the facts. We have to have all the facts. Okay. Now, here's what I will say. I will say if he was in jail awaiting trial and had not been convicted, because they make them prisoners work that's in jail awaiting trial, okay, may not have been able to get out on bail. You got people that spend a year or two in jail waiting on trial because they can't get out on bail. Their family can't afford it, or they may be by themselves and are just simply poor. And bail, I say, is cruel and unusual punishment. You haven't convicted someone of a crime, but I don't want to digress off into that. But so there is federal law, and I think I stated this last night, that does make slavery illegal, but it makes it illegal for you to practice slavery, for me to practice slavery, for a company. That's why we have federal minimum wage laws. That's why we have child labor laws, because the federal government, there is federal law, and that law is 18 US Code Chapter 77, peonage, slavery, and trafficking in persons. It has several different sections. Peonage, instructing enforcement, vessels for slave trade, enticement into slavery, selling to involuntary servitude, and so on and so on. It's a long list. Now, if I was in jail and you want to make me work, then I will be demanding the federal minimum wage, because I have not been duly convicted by a judge or in trial. So you can't make a slave out of me. But we need to just know these things and know, number one, that slavery was never abolished. The 13th Amendment makes that clear. And we need to support abolitionist candidates, whether they running for district attorney, whether they running as judges, whether they running for any kind of political office. We have to get these people on record as either being for or against slavery as prescribed by the 13th Amendment. All right, this is Scotty Reed for the Black Talk Media Project and Black Talk Radio Network. Peace.